Bane is the man who broke the bat, an individual capable of matching and even surpassing Bruce Wayne in his willpower, physicality, and strategy. So it should perhaps be no surprise that nearly all of my videos on Batman training are also surrounded by requests for a Bane training series. And what better time than now to examine a character who developed incredible physical power from the confines of a prison cell, stuck in isolation, just as many of us are right now. For those not familiar with this story, Bane grew up in jail, imprisoned for his father's crimes. Despite having no access to the myriad resources of Bruce Wayne, Bane developed his body and his mind through rigorous training, his own form of meditation, and as many books as he could gain access to. I had planned to make this video a few weeks ago, but then Jack's Blade dropped one on this exact topic. His is great and you should go and check it out. It has loads of ideas taken straight from the comics. So then I was going to skip it, but it's just too perfect for the situation we're in right now. Training in isolation, and wearing masks that make us all sound funny. And as it turns out, I have some cool stuff to add to the discussion. So without further ado, it's Bane Isolation Training. So Bane is a fan favourite villain because he's the perfect warped reflection of Bruce Wayne. Bane's power comes from the exact same place, an unbreakable will and a commitment to bettering himself. So true is this that he forged himself into peak human condition, body and mind, all without leaving his four walls. The awesome thing is that we have plenty of real-world precedent for this kind of training. Of course, one of the most famous examples is Charles Bronson, who wrote Solitary Fitness. Real name Charles Salvador, looks like Dr. Robotnik, Bronson has written at length about training methods that can be utilised while in isolation. Many of these revolve around the use of unusual objects or high-repetition calisthenics. Bronson brags that he can lift an entire snooker table and perform 1,727 press-ups in an hour. He claims that he performed 2,000 push-ups daily at one point. In a previous video, I discussed how high repetitions of bodyweight exercise could be very effective for developing strength, but only when performed to failure. As closed-chain exercises, the chance of injury is relatively low, even when going to this super high rep range, but at the same time, going to failure means that your body is forced to utilise all the muscle fibre involved in the movement. Once the slow twitch muscle fibres fatigue, there is no choice but to engage the fast twitch fibres and large motor units. In short, lifting 10% of your 1 rep max feels like 100% of your 1 rep max once you're at the 120th rep, or in Bronson's case, the 1,727th, and the neural adaptations will be similar. At the same time, this can provide a huge buildup of blood in the working muscles, resulting in significant hypertrophy, not to mention an increased blood supply for enhanced recovery via newly created capillaries. This same strategy worked for the Indian wrestler Gamma, who, legend has it, would train using sets of 5,000 Hindu squats and 3,000 Hindu push-ups. Bronson isn't the only guy to resort to super high reps whilst in isolation either. Another example is Mike Tyson, who reportedly used a similar method to develop his massive legs whilst in jail. He would use massive sets of squats to pick up and place down cards. I've heard different versions of this routine, some say 8 cards, some say 10, but generally the challenge involves creating taller and taller piles from one side to the next by moving the cards over one at a time. This should be performed quickly to allow a massive hydrogen ion build-up and a real burn in the legs. When Tyson emerged from jail, his legs were huge, and this allowed him to generate more power in his blows. Using cards this way to make a potentially mind-numbing workout more interesting is apparently common in jail. Another example is the Deck of Pain. Here you go through a pack of cards one at a time, performing a different movement for each suit and reps depending on the number of reps. So it's a kind of chaos training where you never know exactly what you're going to get dealt next. This is an interesting aspect of training in isolation, finding ways to keep the training fresh and motivating without a coach shouting in your ear or tunes coming through your headphones. It's a form of gamification, which is a great strategy for anyone who struggles with motivation when training. Bodyweight is one obvious option when it comes to training without gym access, but there are other options too. For example, overcoming isometrics. I've discussed this topic before, but essentially the aim is to push or pull against an immovable force. By pushing against a wall or pulling against a tree, which by the way was another method used by Gamma, it's possible to engage 100% of your strength. As far as the body is concerned, it's the same as trying to lift or pull more than 100% of your 1 rep maximum. And once again, the body will adapt in the same way, increasing your mind-muscle connection and neural drive to help you engage more muscle fibre and more strength. You may not see as much hypertrophy due to the lower muscle damage, there's not really any eccentric portion going on, and the lack of full range of motion might also mean that the strength gains aren't as great. However, it also has unique advantages, as there is no strength curve to contend with, for example, meaning that 100% effort is sustained for much longer than in a 1 rep max. It's a great supplement to strength training, and if you're in jail, well then it might be all you've got. You need to do this at least 3 different joint angles, seeing as the area of effect is only around 30 degrees. Hold each rep for about 6 seconds. You can also use your own body weight, and this is something I've been experimenting with lately. For example, my earth crusher exercise, where you lie on the ground and then essentially try to peck fly the earth. In jail though, you might also use the bars of your cell. This, according to stories, is exactly what old-time strongman Alexander Zass, aka the Amazing Samson, did. Zass served in the Russian military in World War I and was placed in a prisoner of war camp. The story goes that he built up his strength by pulling against the iron bars every single day. Eventually, he gained the strength to bend those bars. At that point, he promptly stepped out of his jail window, free. He went on to use this strength as a travelling strongman, breaking chains to wow audiences. Another way that Bane may have developed the necessary willpower to forge his powerful body is through meditation. I'll be talking about this in another video, but meditation can strengthen and develop the anterior cingulate cortex and the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. These are brain regions that relate to focus, motivation, and sustained attention, which makes sense since you're essentially trying to concentrate on one thing, such as your breathing. That's called directive meditation. According to the comics, Bane not only mastered meditation while in jail, whatever that means, but also developed his own style of meditation. Sure, it's a comic, but I love this. We assume that things like meditation are sacred practices that we can't tamper with, but someone has to push these concepts forwards, and we're all different, so why not experiment with your own techniques and come up with something unique that works for you? One method that might apply to someone like Bane would be to use visualization to train the body and the mind. For example, this might mean playing chess against an invisible opponent. According to the book The Brain That Changes Itself by Norman Doidge, this is how wrongfully imprisoned human rights activist Anatoly Sharansky managed to avoid going insane while in isolation. He played imaginary games of chess against himself, developing his skills enough to eventually emerge and defeat then world champion Garry Kasparov. But it's actually a known sport called Blindfold Chess. Incredibly, some experts even play multiple games of Blindfold Chess against real opponents simultaneously, memorizing multiple boards and the positions of every single chess piece, maintaining that image in their mind, and then thinking strategically about those boards. One player, Alexander Zass, is reported to have played 26 simultaneous games, winning 16, drawing 5, and losing only 5. That's insane. Sherlock Holmes, up your game. As far as I'm concerned, this shatters the notion of a working memory that is limited to 7 plus or minus 2 digits. It's clearly far more multi-sensory than that, and not quite so straightforward. But imagine the incredible strategizing, memory, and capacity to juggle information that could be developed this way. Similarly, practicing mental maths could also be a powerful tool. In the same book, Doidge describes how Rudiger Gamm used this same strategy to develop the skills of a human calculator. Again, this is something I'm going to be talking about more soon, so stay tuned for that one. Of course, Bane was also driven by his insane desire to destroy Batman. This gave him a central goal and a purpose that put fire in his belly, even before he'd ever seen Batman. This is something that we can all learn from. I'm not recommending that you choose an arch nemesis and obsess about destroying them, but having a goal is key to self-determination. Find your passion and do that, and suddenly you can achieve incredible things. So hope you found this video useful and interesting, guys. If you did, then please leave a like and share it around. Let me know if there are any other characters you'd like me to analyse the training of, and leave a comment down below if you can think of anything I missed out for training like Bane in isolation. Let me know how you guys are coping with your lockdown workouts. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more like this. And if you like this alternative and theoretical approach to training, then you'll probably enjoy my ebook and training program, Super Functional Training. I'll leave a link to that in the description down below, and there's a discount on at the moment whilst we're all in lockdown. Hope you guys are all staying safe and healthy, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a ton for watching, and bye for now.